Hey folks, welcome back to the range, our adult playground if you will. Well, it's a lovely day in mid-May in central Oklahoma. It's 94 degrees out there in the sunshine, and I'm staying the hell out of it as often as I can today. Well, I'm glad you guys stopped back in. If you saw that little teaser, we're going to talk about that. So without further ado, let's take a little dive. Now you'll notice in front of me, there's a couple of shotguns laying there. Yes, there is. This is the grandpa gun, and that's dad gun. I call them that because the very first shotgun I ever had and hunted with, and I really wish I still had it, but it just had been shot out and was more expensive to repair than it would be anything else, is the Remington Sportsman 48. Now, it was a variant of the Remington 1148. And it is a auto-loading shotgun operated by the long stroke recoil operation system, just like the Browning A5 had, just like the Remington 11 had. And for all intents and purposes, that was more or less state of the art for auto-loading shotguns up until the late 40s. On into the 50s, until the advent of gas-operated shotguns, and in Remington's case, the mid-60s, when they designed and put out the Remington 1100, gas-operated. Now, long-stroke recoil operation means that when you fire the shotgun, when the shell is fired, the barrel, the entire barrel moves rearward, just like a Browning A5, imparts just enough force to the bolt to send it traveling back, shuck a shell, cycle the action, put a new one in, ready to shoot the next one. And as you might perceive, that's got, you know, a little bit of a hoof to it. Not much when you're shooting light loads, but when you get the heavy ones in there, baby, you know it. And then the other difference, obviously, between it and the 1100 is a gas-operated system. The barrel don't move. And it was also the first semi-automatic auto-loading shotgun by Remington where computers were used to design the gas ports and the systems so that when you fired, instead of having an impulse energy wave that was a sharp, quick peak that fell off, with the 1100, it was just a mild curve, more of a shove than a whack, which is really nice. And in fact, once people started realizing that that was so much fun to shoot, just about everybody that had one of these or a Browning A5, unless they were just stuck on them, decided to go ahead and we'll stick that in the back of the closet, and I'm going to go buy me one of them $175 Remington 1100s. So we got a couple shooting seats down there. You'll notice this hoodis out here on the end of the gun. That was state-of-the-art technology for interchangeable chokes in the 40s and 50s, called the Cutt's Compensator. It does have compensating cuts in it, mounts to the end of the barrel, and it accepts screw-on chokes. And my granddad's old shotgun that I used, that I shot with, that I owned until it was falling apart, had that exact same style unit on it, and it was cat daddy. So I had a lot of fun with it. Now, this Sportsman 48 is somewhat different in that it wears a 20-inch barrel. That barrel is marked for skeet, and the number matches the serial number on the receiver. This weapon was made to shoot skeet. Now, skeet is something that happens kind of like at quail ranges. You're not very far away, and the rocks are flying across in front of you instead of going away. So you didn't need a long barrel, and you needed something around to improve cylinder. Well, this device could be mounted on the gun and give you the ability to put on a modified, improved cylinder, full choke, extra full, and it could really be an all-around unit for you. But this one is wearing the modified tube, and so I brought that 1100 because it's got a modified barrel. And we're just going to shoot them on a couple of shooting seats side by side and see how they do, and see if there's any major difference in how the shot pattern performs downrange from the two different units. The barrel on the 1100 is just plain Jane style barrel. It does not have any type of invector or screw-in chokes. It's basically it ain't much younger than this one is. So it was before they had screw-in chokes as well. So let's go ahead and get the camera angle adjusted and take a little deeper dive into what we're looking at on this, and then we'll go down there and put some shells in, and by that time the shade ought to have taken over most of the range, and I can stand out there and shoot without sweating like a, well, whore in church. Be right back at you. Stay tuned. Alrighty. Now, as you can see from the close-up shot here, you can see those cuts in the top of that compensator. There's also a matching set in the bottom, and they do have a slight angle to them, so they do aid somewhat in recoil reduction, which is nice. Makes that a fun gun to shoot. Now you'll notice that bead on the front, it comes factory standard. So when you set these, you can see where it goes from dark black, where the logo is, to gunmetal gray. That's a piece that has to be mounted to the weapon and then adjusted and timed so that when you have that compensator cranked down good and tight where you need it, and then a set screw holds it permanently in place, that it'll be where you want it to be, because that bead is not adjustable for left and right. So that was kind of one of them things where, yeah, the technology was, that's about as good as it got. But you'll get to see it in action, and I think you'll go, yeah, that's working. All right, let's check something else out. Stand by. All right, now back here at the rear of the barrel where it meets up with the receiver, you see that vent rib coming down that barrel, and then it takes a step down. Now most of your modern day shotguns with vent ribs, that rib just runs right up there to the rib on top of the receiver. That rib pattern that's milled into the receiver, it kind of mates up, even up. But this is a long stroke recoil operation system, so that rib has to be reduced down there. So it's just like that on purpose. It ain't broke, it ain't busted. Okay, now we're getting a look at the bottom of the receiver, the loading port, the operating handle or tang, and that little button right there on the side. Now, those of you used to modern shotguns, especially the 1100, would say, well, look at the back of that gate. There's no button on it. Nope, there ain't. Didn't need one. Button's mounted on the side of the gun. But yeah, you could load it anytime, just shove her down. Bolt lock to the rear. You could put a round in, shut that puppy and load her up, be good to go. And she do close with authority. I want to call your attention to something here. Stand by. Now, this is just an aside, it has nothing to do with the function of the gun, but I want you to look at that hand cut checker. Man, I tell you, back in the day, and I checked this weapon out, and by its serial number, it was born April 1953. This gun is 69 years old, and that checker is still holding up and looking good, baby. All right, stand by. Let's see how she does. Now, I've got her loaded with some Remington green and red box Sure Shot Heavy Dove that I dug way out of the back of the closet. Couldn't find any paper shells, but these puppies are plastic. So it ought to shackle real good. And I've stepped off the distance 19 steps from those steel targets to me, and that just coincidentally happens to be the same number of steps from my double French doors on my back door patio to the close bedroom wall where my bedroom door and the hallway meet. you know, just in case I need it for defense. And we're shooting steel, gotta have that eye pro. So running that modified, let's see what kind of pattern we get. Hey bad guy, you in the wrong house. Oh man, that looks like it would hurt. That would hurt. That would hurt. Oh, damn. Seems to be working well. Now, pay attention when I'm shooting and see how the recoil makes me move, because that's something we'll do a comparison on here in a minute. I can feel it. That Cutt's compensator's doing its thing, but that long stroke action, whoo, dang. That fifth one got just off the edge of the chain. I wonder why. One thing about it, I'll have to paint that plate for sure. She had a tendency to shoot a little high, but we are pretty close. But I'm pulling the trigger when that bead just comes up under it. All right, let's reset the camera angle and we'll do a little a slow-mo turn. Let you see how that thing's operating. Stand by. All right, now I've stepped off 23 yards, a little further back than the 19 steps of my bedroom to the back door. It's about the average engagement distance I've ever shot a quail at. Let's see what kind of pattern the old girl makes. Ooh, still running just a little high, but getting pretty close to absolute center there. Now, let's see what the Remington 1100 modified pattern looks like. Stand by. Same ammo, different gun. This 1100 appears to be more or less center because I pulled the trigger as soon as the bead touched the bottom of the circle. So she's dead on. Looks like the Sportsman 48's running just a tad high. All right, let's check something else out. Stand by. Okay, you can see on the 11-48 Sportsman 48, we have a really nice even spread amongst the shot, and at center to just below center of the pattern, it's actually somewhat heavier. If it been a pheasant, he'd have been wiped out. On the 1100, pattern is just a little tighter, but not by much, and still fairly even. Lots of nice 2 and 3 ball lines in it, but you get up here at center of the pattern and you still got a whole bunch of heavy shots. So really, I wouldn't want to get hit by either one of them. Stand by. All right, we're back. Now a little comparison. Using the 1100, shooting the same distance. Going to do a little slow-mo. You can see the difference in the operation and the amount of recoil impulse I'm receiving, along with a fucking phone call. Shooting a movie here. All right, so let's get that little comparison shot, shall we? Using the 1100, gas operated. See if you can spot the difference. Yay, yay. Now this is my Dove gun, so I just got her set up legal like, you know, because you don't want to get in trouble. You see the difference in the recoil impulse and how it affects my body? Yay, yay. Much funner gun to shoot. Stand by. Well, okay, welcome back to the bench. It's a lot cooler up here in the heavy shade. I think you would quite agree. There is a noticeable difference in the recoil impulse, felt recoil by the shooter especially. You can tell from watching the regular speed and the slow-mo speed, the difference in how this old blunderbuss, even with that compensator, has a tendency to shove my big 298-pound ass around as compared to that 1100 that's just a joy to shoot. Not to mention that 1100 shoots dead on, and this puppy has a tendency to rock them a little high. And when I say a little high, I mean about 6 inches high at 20 yards, about 4 inches high at 25. That may be the way I'm looking down that rail, I don't know, but it was consistent in its impacts every shot I took. So might be something I'd want to keep in mind if I was going to go out and shoot at stuff with it. One thing's for sure, if I was shooting at incoming geese coming straight at me overhead, I'd already have my lead built in. For sure, for sure. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you learned a little. I hope you had fun with it. I had fun, except for when I was out there in the sun sweating my butt off. Jeez, this is no fun at all. It's getting that time of year where if I'm going to shoot an outdoor video, you bet your ass you're going to have to put up with me being in the morning sun because by 9:30, 10 o'clock, it's too damn hot to get out here and play. Well, anyway, I hope you guys had a great time. I hope you enjoyed the star of the show, Remington's Sportsman 48, built in 1953. Still rolling strong, baby. Y'all stop by the next time you can. Lord knows what I'm going to come up with. Glad you got to see me, and I hope you got to get a little out of the video. And as always, be good to one another, be good to yourselves, spread the love, and hopefully next weekend or sometime soon, I am going to see you somewhere downrange. Bye.